There's an old saying in hunting, you can only eat what you kill. This applies to the profession of selling also. You can only earn from what you sell. This is the reason why sales is such a challenging profession. You can directly see the results of your performance. In fact, sales is the only department which brings money to the company. The rest of the departments are somehow involved in expenses. Since salespeople are directly linked to the results, which can be easily measured, that's why they are the most accountable employees of the company. On the one side, their job is highly vulnerable, anytime they can be fired, but on the other side, the sky is the limit if they are good at selling. That's why I love selling so much, no matter in whatever way I sell. But to become good at selling, you need to learn how to close sales. In every sales process, there comes a time where the sales need to be closed. Unfortunately, your customers won't always easily decide to buy. At those times, you need arsenal of closing techniques so that you can make the sale. You need unusual creative ideas to assist you as per different circumstances when you are going to close a deal. Selling is not an easy job. Every day, you must be looking for new prospects, identifying needs, making presentations, overcoming objections, and closing sales. It is really a hard job. And out of all these activities, closing is often the most painful part of the sales process. It is a part that average salespeople dislike the most. On the contrary, the top salespeople are very good at closing. The fact that you live in a nice house with all the luxuries you own clearly tells us that someone sold that stuff to you. It was probably a good salesperson or a good sales copy in a magazine or online. And it also tells us how to play this game with the sole objective to win. If someone is doing better than you, it is because they have learned the key skills before you have. In this course, I am sharing many powerful closing techniques which you can use as per your wisdom. I sincerely wish these methods could help you in closing more and more deals. Good luck. I started my career as an engineer working in software support. My job was to give demonstrations and training on CAD softwares. But one day, one of my colleagues who was in sales left the company, and I was asked to handle the selling part for a few days till they got a new salesperson. Since then, I have never got a chance to leave the sales. It was a roller coaster ride for me, with many ups and downs. But one thing I knew right from the beginning, the top salespeople are doing something different from the rest of the mediocre salespeople. To find out what it is and then to learn, practice, apply and teach became the mission of my life. I was curious to know why top 20% of salespeople make 80% of the money. What they do differently from others. Why they sell more than others. Why customers buy again and again from them. During the research, I found there are many big and small reasons because of which the top salespeople outperform others. But the most important secret I learned was that all these great salespeople are master persuaders. So it became my mission to learn, practice, apply and even teach persuasion. I got recognition because of my persuasion mastery workshops which brought a revolution in the sales training industry. Persuasion is more than a passion for me. It changed my life completely. For the last 15 years, I am studying and practicing persuasion. And now it's your turn. In my course, Become a Master of Closing Sales, I have shared many secrets, thought processes, habits and techniques of the top 20% master salespeople which help them in closing more and more deals every year. Let me tell you a true story. The story of Joe Girard. The legendary Joe Girard, considered the greatest car salesman in the world, the man who sold 30,001 cars and trucks in 15 consecutive years. In 1963, Joe Girard joined the Chevrolet dealership as a salesman. Before joining this car dealership, he had never sold any automobile in his entire life. He knew nothing about cars and trucks. He joined the dealership because he had no other option when he left home to find any job so that he could buy food for his family. Joe Girard borrowed $10 from his boss against the commission he owed on selling the first car. That $10 was the most precious thing for him because that money brought him groceries for his family. From that day, he always remembered one simple arithmetic equation. Selling cars would bring him money and that money would bring food to his family. He became an aggressive salesman. He wanted to sell as many cars as possible. He had tasted the success. He declared to himself that he would become the number one salesman in town. He was exploring new strategies on how he could sell more cars every day. But at the same time, he started facing opposition from his other colleagues not to be so aggressive. So, Joe Girard was facing competition not only from other brands, not only from other dealerships of Chevrolet, but even from his own dealership staff. But he wanted to sell more cars because he had seen the extreme pain of living without money. So, Joe Girard decided to become more enthusiastic and started exploring out-of-box thinking. He became so creative in prospecting that every prospect wanted to deal with only and only Joe Girard. And the rest is history. The challenge is, can you become the next Joe Girard? Then start applying out-of-box thinking in your job. Why do people in sales quit? Simply because they cannot deal with the rejection that is part and parcel of the business. In the classic book, Think and Grow Rich, the author Napoleon Hill, who had interviewed some of the richest and most successful people like Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, described 6 major fears that manage our life. Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of old age, fear of death, fear of loss of love of someone. But I want to add 2 more fears to this list. First is the fear of rejection, and the other one is the fear of failure. You see, these fears are not really bad. They help us to take precautions. They help us to grow and prepare for the worst. Fear of ill health helps people to eat and live healthily. Fear of criticism helps people to behave well in society. Fear of failure helps people to work hard and smart. Even industries exploit these fears to sell their products. Fear of criticism induces people to discard old clothes, old automobiles, and replace them with new ones from time to time. Fear of rejection helps the cosmetic industry to sell expensive products to those who want to look attractive and win compliments from others. But these fears also stop us from taking challenges because of which we go on live a mediocre life. For example, in the case of the sales profession, salespeople quit a lucrative sales career because of these reasons. Fear to make cold calls, fear to approach strangers, fear to give presentations in front of the audience, fear to meet big shots, fear to ask details from clients, fear to answer objections, fear to negotiate, fear to ask closing questions, fear to ask for promotion, commission and bonus, and many, many more. You see, these fears are natural. We cannot ignore these fears. But these fears could affect our health if they occupy our minds all the time. The question is how to combat them. And the answer is we just need some knowledge. Fears will automatically vanish from our minds. Types of communication with prospects. First, non-flexible communication. Non-flexible is a type of communication with a prospect where even if he loves the salesperson product, then also he may never give the order. This happens when both you and the prospect are rigid. Means both you and your prospect are fixed at their position. Both parties take fixed positions, and whenever they conduct meetings, it reinforces their original differences. So, both of you don't want to discuss further. Both of you don't want to negotiate. The reasons could be many. not liking each other, ego clash or differences or misunderstanding, lack of interest from both sides in closing the deal. This deal will never close unless one party takes the initiative, and generally it's always a salesperson that needs to come up with some out-of-box thinking if he really wants to close the deal. Second, polarized communication. Polarized is a type of communication with the prospect where the more the salesperson and the prospect talk to each other, the further they move away from closing the deal. It happens when you and your prospect keep arguing with each other. The more the two parties talk, the further apart they move. One party is moving to the North Pole while the other party is moving to the South Pole. An argument is the worst form of communication if it has no reasoning. However, the sales presentation is also an argument, but here you are presenting your case with facts and valid reasons, just like lawyers present the case in court. Third, the negotiation. Negotiation is a type of communication with the prospect which may bring sales most of the time, but also keeps the salesperson struggling to get the most profitable deals. It happens when both you and your prospect are flexible enough to discuss further. Through negotiation, both parties take steps to close the gap between them. This is a positive sign that soon deals could be closed, but it should be a win-win situation for both parties. Fourth, the influence. Influence is a type of communication with the prospect where the prospect is buying on the salesperson's terms without raising any objections. It's a dream sale for every salesperson. It happens when you master the principles and techniques of influence and persuasion. Your prospect moves to the position held by you. It's an ideal close for every salesperson because your prospect is buying on your terms and conditions. Here, the prospect finds so much value in you that he doesn't want to lose the deal. This is the kind of communication you should aim for while closing every deal. But remember, everything is good till it's ethical.